We've got the 2024 Volkswagen Tiguan.
It's been a couple of years. Nice to have it back. Come on, little Tiggy, you can do it. Ooh. Nice. Easy there, Andrea. All right, what's under the hood of this Tiguan?
A 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder with an 8-speed automatic transmission, 184 horsepower and 221 pound-feet of torque. Standard all-wheel drive in Canada. In the US, front-wheel drive and all-wheel drive options are available. You can put regular fuel in the Tiguan.
Lots to talk about with this Tiguan. Right now, we're going to get into what do you get with it? Like, what are the key standard features?
The base trim comes with a 6.5-inch touchscreen, wired Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, an 8-inch digital driver display, a 6-speaker audio system, cloth upholstery, manual front seats with height adjustment, heated front seats, a heated steering wheel, a manual liftgate, and Volkswagen's IQ Drive. In the US, the heated steering wheel is not standard, but it's a feature on the top trim.
Andrea, a couple of things right away.
Yeah.
There's a real shifter, and you have your drive modes. We've got it in sport, but what else can you put it in?
You gotta put it in S for subscribe, and if you can hit that notification bell, you'll be notified when all of our reviews drop, and then you can watch them.
And we do this, the Cup of Car Review, twice a week. The first one drops on Wednesday.
We put another one out on Saturday.
So make sure to like and subscribe, but also follow along on Instagram. It's Motormouth_Andrew to see what's going on behind the scenes and to get a question in. More on that halfway through the video. For me, it's Motormouth_Auto, and the links are below the like button. It's been about 2 years, Andrea, since we've driven the Tiguan when this was refreshed, and now we've got it back. And we've driven a lot of compact SUVs lately. How are you enjoying this one?
Well, I'm always pleasantly surprised when I get in the Tiguan because I tend to forget how sporty and engaging and fun it is to drive. If Zach only saw me yesterday zipping in and out of city traffic.
We just saw you zipping.
Oh, I was having so much fun. I think it's a great city runaround. I think the only time that you might find a lack of power is when you're passing on the highway. It just takes a bit of time to get up to speed.
That's pretty normal in this class of vehicle, though. They all have under 200 horsepower for the most part, so that's kind of what you get. The number one takeaway for me, and we're going to talk about it a little bit later in Questions, Coffee, and Cars, is when they redid this version, they recalibrated the automatic transmission. So that's another big difference between this and many others, is this uses an 8-speed regular automatic. There's no CVT at play here. So for those of you who don't like the idea of a CVT, this has been massaged and worked and is way better.
It's a good one. And the cabin stays pretty quiet. Noise, vibration, and harshness is quite good in here. The only negative I have is the steering is a little bit light for me. And what I mean by that is it's just easy to move. I like something that's just slightly heavier. But Zach tells me this is what people want.
Well, I think that, you know, trust me, they know what the masses like, and I think most people like very light, easy to maneuver. You were zipping in and out of traffic with it yesterday, so zipping in and out of the parking lots and getting to where you got to go. Light steering, a lot of people will enjoy it. We prefer slightly heavier. It's over boosted, and if they could dial it back, especially if you were in sport mode, that would make a world of difference.
And you know what, it reminds me a lot of Audi. That is a trait that Audi offers, and I hear people complain about it, but some people really like it.
Same thing. They know. They know what people like.
Yeah.
What do you think of the looks of this?
I like it. It's classic. You know, it always stands the test of time. And that's one thing I really like about Volkswagen. It has a real European style to it. And I like all the different trim offerings to the exterior, whether you go with R-Line with all that R-Line badging on the top trim and the chrome exterior accents, or you go with R-Line Comfort with the black exterior accents.
I think that the nice thing about Volkswagen, and we talk about this especially in light of the Korean brands, is they change their cars so much. Even mid-cycle refresh, they'll blow up the car and they'll give it a very different look. Volkswagen, it's very evolutionary, modest changes, but that's good if you're a buyer, because if you had the first version of this one and you put this one next to it, you go, yeah, well, show me the differences. Most wouldn't be able to pick it up.
Well, that's what a viewer actually said. He said, I've got the older model. He says, what's changed?
I know, but that's good, because you're not driving around in a dated car. It still looks fresh today.
Now this gets 7 7.6 inches of ground clearance. It comes standard with LED headlamps, LED tail lamps. You've got roof rails, whether they're in chrome or black. Standard 17-inch wheels, available 18 to 20-inch wheels, and a temporary spare tire.
Andrew, speed up a little bit. That is a Volkswagen Vanagon Westphalia.
Oh yeah,
hey, there you go.
Thumbs up.
We might have had one of those, Andrea.
We did have one of those.
Same color and everything.
We did some camping.
It wasn't a Westie. Ours was just a tin top, but there you go. Well, Andrea and I just switched, and when I was walking around the back, Andrea, one more thing before we move on to the inside. The fake exhaust tips drive people crazy. So doesn't really bother me. I like the design of this car, but it has faux exhaust tips. For some people, it drives them crazy. It's one of those things, if you're OCD, that's all you can focus on, doesn't bother me.
It drives me crazy.
See, geez, I wonder why.
I want real exhaust pipes. Audi does the same. Oh my gosh, it drives me nuts. It's all I can see.
You should see Andrea's closet. It's just so, yeah?
It's just so.
Very German, right, Andrea?
Just so. Color coordinated and all.
All right, so yeah, speaking of color coordinated. All right, let's get into the inside of this one. As we talked about at the beginning, a traditional shifter and a more traditional layout for the dashboard. It's a nice combination of tech and analog. What is the biggest thing?
It's integrated. When do you see an integrated screen anymore? Everything is sitting up on the dash. I love the simplicity and the cleanliness of this interior. Okay,
so we have the organization and the cleanliness.
Like cleanliness too.
So that's the Andrea is half German. That's cleanliness is next to godliness, is a German saying.
Absolutely. Now this comes standard with a 6.5-inch touchscreen with wired Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. I don't like that. It should come standard with this available 8-inch touchscreen with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Who's with me?
I'm guessing the future is going to be not this, not integrated, not this size. It's going to be what we saw with the GTI for 2025 that's being sold in Europe, which is the big screen stuck on the dash. Exactly what we said we like about this. They're going to get rid of it.
I know. I'm sad about it. I'm hoping it's not going to happen. Now this comes with available ambient lighting. It comes standard with cloth upholstery, available leatherette and leather. Now if you're looking for the best value trim, I would really go with the Comfortline in Canada or the SE model in the US.
That's the middle trim.
Yeah, one up from the base.
Yeah.
You know I like one up from the base.
Who doesn't?
And it comes with those extra features that you may want. Things like the larger touchscreen, a wireless charger, a power driver's seat with power lumbar support, and leatherette upholstery. You can even add the panoramic sunroof to these two trims for $1,500 in Canada and $1,200 in the US.
Available features on higher trims include driver's seat memory, a power passenger seat, ventilated front seats, a panoramic sunroof, a 12.25 digital driver display, a 360-degree camera, 8-speaker Fender audio system, heated rear seats, front and rear parking sensors, and park assist. And I like the attention to detail on this top version. So we are in the highest trim with the R-Line look on the outside, but on the inside, nice bright chrome work around things, not too much in the shiny hard plastic department, a little brush of wood here and there, and really nice contrasting stitching on the seats. Yeah. It looks classy, Andrea, It looks classy.
It looks classy. You may notice that I've got some white piping on my shirt. I just want to applaud Volkswagen for carrying that white piping into the rear seat, and I also like that there is climate control back there for the passengers.
Speaking of the rear seats, here's me getting in. This is based on the long wheelbase version of Tiguan sold in Europe, and because it's the long wheelbase version, you get a really large amount of legroom, good headroom. The seats are kind of firm, but overall, not bad. How's it stack up?
Comparing the Tiguan to another 5-passenger SUV, the Subaru Forester, the Tiguan offers 40.2 inches of front row legroom and 38.7 inches of second row legroom. Both rows are a little smaller than the Forester.
lifting the power liftgate on this model. And you also, same thing, it's the long wheelbase version of Tiguan. You get a large cargo area under the floor. You have a temporary spare tire. Our model is not equipped with the optional third row seat.
Space behind the second row for the Tiguan is 37.6 cubic feet, which is larger than the Forester. Overall cargo space at 73.4 cubic feet is about the same as the Forester.
All right, you got some good questions on this. Let's get at it.
Time now for questions, coffee, and cars.
Your questions from Instagram.
How's the performance compared to the earlier models of this generation? Our 2018 suffered from excessive turbo lag, though the size was great, even with the tiny third row.
I don't think it was turbo lag. I think it was the calibration of the transmission, and we said it earlier. That, in my opinion, is the biggest improvement to this this version of the Tiguan when they did an update a couple of years ago. The calibration of the transmission. I know exactly what they're talking about. It stumbled. It would go, but it was it wasn't the car. It wasn't the engine, it was the transmission.
But you can understand why he would think it
totally.
would be turbo lag.
Yeah.
But this 8-speed automatic is really quite good. It's smooth. It shifts smoothly. It's even quick shifting. I like it.
Well, it was really bad. The first version of this generation, I totally agree with them. That's the biggest change.
And since you mentioned the tiny third row, you're right, it is tiny, but very unique, really, to Tiguan. And in Canada, you can get that third row as an option on all trims
How
for
much?
$800 Canadian.
Wow.
In the U.S., it's standard on front-wheel drive models, not available on all-wheel drive models.
It's just for kids. It's that extra kid to take to ballet class or soccer practice. That's all it's for. And the Rogue used to have it. They got rid of it. And the only one kind of in this class that has a third row is the Outlander.
How does the Fender sound system compare to the Harman Kardon in your GTI? Well, we can officially say we're not fans of the Harman Kardon in our GTI. Fender, much better, don't you think?
Yeah, this is, in my opinion, one of the best mainline car stereos. What I mean mainline is not premium or a luxury brand, a mainline car brand, Volkswagen. Yeah. And they partnered with Fender years ago. And it's nice and clear and crisp. And they've gone with other brands, like the Jetta has Beats. It's worse than the Harman Kardon.
Yeah.
It's just this muddy mess. And the Harman Kardon I'm not liking. So this is the one I wish they had kept.
I know.
They had this in the GTI and they got rid of it.
Yeah, this is just so much better than the one that we have. I mean, one of the reasons why we went to the top trim on the GTI is because of the Harman Kardon sound system. Anyway, we're happy in general with the GTI.
This is what we do for a living. I mean, we even got caught out.
We
so
did.
Don't feel bad if you buy a car and it's not exactly what you thought.
Yeah.
Even we did it.
Looking forward to your review. We just test drove a Tiguan and absolutely are in love with it. But when doing research online, the Tiguan seems to suffer from reliability issues. For a vehicle that VW has been producing for many years, shouldn't the reliability be improved by now?
Well, our next question is our hot topic, which talks about the replacement for this vehicle. So the good news is, to your point, this might be in its last year of production.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, you're right about that. There are people that write to us who own the Tiguan and love it. Rave about it. Then there's others who write to us and they're in and out of the shop. It's just hit and miss. But that's hit and miss.
But that's the same with Volkswagen generally.
Yeah.
It's got nothing to do with Tiguan. We hear the exact same thing about all Volkswagens. Some people have them. You're going to write below. Have you had a Volkswagen that had no problems with it? There'll be lots of people that comment, and there'll be lots of people that say, no, it was a hot mess. So you have to go in there. At least, back to your point, which is another great point, these people are so smart. Buying it in its last year of production, maybe a little more insurance.
Maybe. So JD Power gives the Tiguan a reliability score of 75 out of 100, which is average. Consumer Reports below average of 34 out of 100. And I also looked at Repair Pal just to get something different for you guys. And it is below average at 3 out of 5. Repair Pal says 4 out of 5 is average for them.
All right, Andrea, now it's time for our hot topic. What's this one?
Any word from VW on the release of the latest version of Tiguan in North America?
Well, we reached out to Volkswagen and asked, and they said nothing is firm yet, but it's looking like it's going to be around this time next year. So it would be late spring, early summer. They're going to come out with the updated new Tiguan. There is one already available in Europe, but you found out something about it, right?
I heard that the North American one that is coming next year is going to be quite different than the European model, but we'll have to wait and see. Of course, there's rumors all over the place about the fact that a plug-in hybrid is coming. I did speak to the head of product planning for Volkswagen, and he said we are monitoring the market.
Yeah, I think if you read between the lines, that might be the big change that we're getting for next year. So back to the point I made earlier, the pictures I'm showing you of the European Tiguan are the shorter wheelbase one. That's what they use for the Audi Q3. We don't get that model in North America. We get the long wheelbase version, which allows them to put the third row in if you want that.
So Zach, you mentioned the third row of the Tiguan. What do you think is the uptake for that third row in North America?
So it's like $800 to uptake that?
800, yeah.
Yeah, I would say it's probably 20%.
20%?
Yeah.
So, head of product planning, Patrick Danielson, he said to me, 10 to 15%.
I'm not far off.
You're pretty good.
All right, so now we're going to get into the fuel economy isn't stellar on this and more in our vital stats.
Let's start with pricing. We'll do Canada first and then move on to the US. The Canadian pricing includes freight, PDI, and fees. The base model starts at just over $37,000, and the top Highline R-Line trim is just over $48,000. In the US, the first all-wheel drive model starts at just over $30,000, and the top trim is just under $39,000.
Here's the fuel economy, 10.6 liters per 100 kilometers city, 8 on the highway. That's just 22 miles per gallon in the city, 29 miles per gallon highway. The towing capacity is 1,500 pounds. And the warranty is 4 years, 80,000 kilometers, or 50,000 miles. In the United States, complimentary maintenance is covered for 2 years, or 20,000 miles. All right, huge category, compact SUV. What else can you choose?
For your consideration, 4 vehicles for you to consider.
Up first is the Toyota RAV4 with a 2.5-liter 4-cylinder, 203 horsepower, and a starting price just over $36,000.
The Mitsubishi Outlander with a 2.5-liter 4-cylinder, 181 horsepower, and a starting price of just over $34,500.
The Honda CR-V with a 1.5-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder, 190 horsepower, and an all-wheel drive starting price of just over $40,000.
The freshly released Subaru Forester with a 2.5-liter 4-cylinder, 180 horsepower, and a starting price just over $36,000.
So there are 4 compact SUVs for you to consider.
Lightning round, 2 things we like to see improved.
I like the sporty handling of the Tiguan.
And it's roomy, lots of room for everyone.
What I'd like to see is the 8-inch touchscreen come standard. Just do it right now.
It's got nothing to do with Tiguan. I just want Volkswagen to stick with one audio supplier. And please, stick with Fender. It's the winner.
It's good.
So there you have it. That's the Volkswagen Tiguan. What do you think of that?
Thanks for watching, and if you like what you see, subscribe. We'll see you next time.